Kia ora, my name's Ariane Craig-Smith. I'm a curator, a mother and a researcher, and I grew up in the Waikari Inlet in the Bay of Islands. I'm working on Toitu Te Ngahere. I'm a project coordinator. Toitu Te Ngahere is a project art in schools for forest health, particularly bringing together science, mātauranga Māori and arts, and seeing how these different ways of knowing and exploring the world support each other to learn about our forest ecologies, to learn how to support health in our forest ecologies. We want the kids that we're working with to look at that big picture of forest health and the role that they can play in both being part of supporting health in our native environments, so that's learning about those species, and also sharing the knowledge. So sharing the learning that they are doing with a wider community. So we want art to be a really critical part of that.
Ko Justice he te raka tōku ingoa, he uri tēnei no Ngāti Wai me kaitahu. So my involvement in Toitu Te Ngahere began as a mentorship role. I think there were students from the University of Auckland who were chosen to be mentors in the schools to help them create their projects. And I have now shifted into more of an advisory role, mainly to ensure that the Mātauranga Tuku Iho component of this project has integrity, and just to help in the use of different pedagogies for learning, and the integration of art into the classroom and how that can be a really healing tool and a really powerful tool for learning. My whānau and my community mean everything to who I am as a person, and everything I do to make sure our people can prosper. And I think that my childhood and upbringing has taught me that there is another way for us to live and operate under tikanga and within Te Ao Māori that can provide a space for everyone to thrive and for our whenua to breathe.
So the project's going to unfold across 2 years. In the first year we're working with 2 schools here in mainland Auckland, and then in the second year of the project we are planning to work on Aotearoa, Great Barrier Island, with the 3 schools there. What we're asking those schools to do is come on a journey, a collaborative journey with us, for the students and the teachers to really make the choices and lead that process. We are offering opportunities. We're offering opportunities to encounter different kinds of knowledge and experiences, but we really want to hear back from them. So it's a communicative, collaborative process that we're starting on with these schools. They each have a unique relationship to the landscape. So exploring that, looking into what is the current landscape, what are the histories of those sites, what knowledge is there within the community, within their families. Those things will all feed into how the project unfolds. There's 2 schools that we'll be working with here in Auckland. Both have amazing and unique sites and communities. We're working with a school in Beach Haven, Cody Park Primary School, and Kōnini Primary on the edge of Te Tirangi, Glen Eden.
My name's Andrew Duckett. I'm the principal here at Kōnini School. I've been here nearly 6 years, and it's like a little wee hidden oasis. Unless you come here, you don't realise what a special and unique place Kōnini School is. So Kōnini, we're a mid-decile school, so it's reflective of the ethnic makeup of the school and the socio-economic mix. So we don't have well-off families. We have many working families and many families that are struggling. And what I notice is our families are really busy. So they're time poor but love their kids. And so trying to juggle home life with 2 parents working, trying to juggle supporting kids with their learning has a big impact on their ability to spend time at school. So as a school, I've observed they have a high trust in what we do. They value our learning programs, and when we put on school events, community events, they turn out in droves because I think that's their way of giving back. We're really lucky as a school to have over half our grounds in native bush, And so you think we have that resource, comes challenges, but also comes rewards. The challenges are around how do we resource it and maintain it, but the rewards are, well, we get to maintain it, and we get to get the benefit out of using it. Probably the best part that our community and our staff and our kids would all recognise, it's having the learning embedded in an authentic way into what we do here. So our restoration work is a big part of everything we do on a daily basis, and it involves eco-seed harvesting, it involves growing the seedlings, involves identifying the noxious weeds, removing them, and it involves planting them, and that's probably the best part. We get our community to come along and help us with that.
What's happening really in learning within the taiao and the ngahere especially, what's happening is we're reconnecting with who we are as humans. Like the earth is our mother. We come from her. And we come from the atua who gave themselves to us to exist. And so that process for every individual, not just Māori, that process of understanding where we come from and then having the respect and the reverence and the ability to recognise that we are taina within that relationship.
We've got a team of amazing mentors who will work very closely with the schools that are drawn from postgraduate study in arts, science, and they're going to be really crucial link to the students, working very closely with them and helping to tell their stories in the project. So we're going to invite those students to make work as part of their journey through the year, that they can share the learning they're doing about mātauranga, about science, about the forest, about different species, and they can share that then wider to the rest of the kids in their school, for instance, to their families perhaps, to the wider communities.
Our creative side has been sorely neglected in schools, so you might say the arts, you might say in the arts, music, dance, visual arts, but really it's the whole process of creativity. And it's an area that has been quite difficult to re-embrace because of confidence amongst the profession, but also opportunities for that professional growth as well. What we're also seeing within the children is that, and the stuff that we already really knew, was that emotional connection to the learning task gives far more enriched learning opportunities that'll last. We know that learning works really well with repetitive and revisiting of concepts, but we also know that learning works really well when there's an emotional connection to the process. So that's the important part for us, is finding that emotional connection that that will lead to the deeper understanding.
Whether we know it or not, we are carrying generations of trauma from colonisation, and we see it in the state of our whānau who are dealing with poverty, in our health statistics and imprisonment rates. We see it in crime in general, but most evidently for me, we see it in the state of our environment. And it's our tamariki who are going to be having to fix the mistakes that have been made over those generations. And so, one, we have to learn what has happened in order for us to move forward. But art, for me, is a healing tool, because in that process of learning, they have to have an outlet to express their emotions. Art is expressive. It engages the creative parts of who we are in order for us to think outside what we know, to think outside of this norm that we understand and that is doing damage to our whenua and our moana and each other. And so art is just this, we're so blessed to have it, to be able to explore the spaces that don't exist yet, and for them to put their minds and their creativity into this realm in order for us to move forward into our future. It is so healing for them to be able to express their emotions in that way and then be able to have vision for the future. And I think that for me is the value of art within this space. the process and the way that we're going about learning is actually a Māori way of doing things, whether we know it or not yet, you know. It actually is a Māori way of doing things. And I think the influence of our world is growing, and I think people are starting to recognise the power and the beauty that lies within our world, and that it can change the way we live. It'll change the way we relate to the whenua.
If there's outside experts can help us gain additional knowledge that's relevant for, well, which will enrich our children and enrich our teachers. So that the deep learning that scientists can bring, the deep learning that people that are experienced and well versed in the arts can bring around the creative process, those partnership projects can just lead to potential opportunities outside that we might not actually have access to.
At a primary age, it's opening the door for them really early to change the way that that generation sees the world, and that generation connects with the earth. And that's something that, you know, you have to be raised with these days, and they will be, you know. They'll have a whole perspective of the taiao and of learning and of what education's supposed to look like, and of the value of art and creation. And in the end, this experience is going to plant a seed within them to continue that in their lives, and then make it better and just build on it as they navigate this world as well.
Tamariki are critical to dealing with these kind of issues, because they are the future of our communities. They are the future of our response and engagement with our environment. So that urgency to bring tamariki along and offer them a space of leadership in addressing these issues and addressing our relationship with our environment.
We're quite fortunate we have an opportunity to give them a positive learning experience around it rather than talk about the negatives. We've got the opportunity to give them practical opportunities to see what they can do, practical contexts that has a real impact on the regeneration of our native bush, and they also get to experience how good it feels just being a part of that process. Yeah.
I think we underestimate what our tamariki know and feel. They're so much more connected to Te Awairua than we are. We've been so institutionalised away from it. And the education system has helped with that, right? And so it has helped to take us away from that. And so bringing this kind of aspect back into the lives of our tamariki helps them to stay connected to it and to heal and to, you know, process that stuff. And I think, that is just, yeah. It's evident, eh? And to me, it's so logical. Why are we still mucking around doing other stuff?
To give them a sense of power and empowerment in the direction of being kaitiaki, what that means, to explore what it means to really be kaitiaki and be a part of a natural environment, to rebuild a sense of connection to the natural world, not to see ourselves as separated. But I want those students, I want those tamariki to recognise their role, to recognise their place, that it can be a healthy relationship. Because we get so many messages about the damage that we are doing to the environment as a species. I hope through this process that we can be contributing to changing that narrative and giving those tamariki an awareness that they can be a healthy part of an ecosystem.